see how it goes, but it was really cutting out, like, to the point where we couldn't understand you. So go ahead and try to...
To keep from the people in order to keep them enslaved. The best kind of slave you can have is one that doesn't realize he is enslaved, and that's the case across North America. They say we went to free the people in the Middle East when actually we went to enslave them through a corporation in Britain called Circle. And they specialized in the identification and production of slave papers for every individual that they get their hands on. And they've done it through Ontario, most states, and across Canada. Through licensed health TrutherGirls up here, mostly driver license renewals in the States. This is pretty clear, and all you have to do is stick to the truth. And when you are asked for identification, your identification, which is the physical flesh and blood breathing being yourself, it's not this plastic copy that has been actually stolen through the method of getting you to agree to allow them to identify you with a copy of you, with a copy of your name that's produced through a birth certificate shortly after birth, and through a number which is the birth date.
The actual event of the birth date. You're coming through loud and clear. Keep going, George.
All right. Last being a fraudulent example of your identification. What it is you've contracted into the commercial world to allow them to take a copy of the real thing, which is yourself, and unwittingly allowed them to take ownership of that identifier, and now they control and sell that identifier globally, and increasingly require you to use their identification of you, which is this copy from amidst the eyes and face, some places, including the right hand. So, I'm kind of in a deep, dark hole here, and this is some experience, but it's amazing the truth that has surfaced here in the last little while. People need to realize the power that there is in the Scripture that people are being encouraged to shun.
Right, yeah, we go over this quite a bit in a couple of the videos I have posted on my channel about the book of Revelations, and also about what Jesus said in Matthew about proselyting and personating and following the ascriptions of the scribes and Pharisees, the same ones that, killed Jesus Christ, who is the actual foundation of our Christian-based government. That's why we have a prime minister. This is very important stuff, what you're talking about, George, with regards to the scriptures, in my opinion. Are you still there, George?
Are you there, George? I
think we've lost him.
Yeah, it sounds like it cut out. Wait, let me see what the people in the chat room are saying. Okay, where is George? It's like as soon as he started talking about the Bible, he just got cut off.
That's just like William Cooper. That man was talking about the Bible quite a bit, and if you actually start looking into this, you'll start to find that a lot of the people who've been assassinated, jailed, and otherwise considered crazy and thrown into asylums and such are very often speaking about this kind of conviction. Now, I'm not necessarily ascribing to it all. In fact, I feel I'm an unbiased party. But when it comes down to who created you and what this whole system is all about, you better have a little bit of an understanding, because when you get in there, they're all speaking what seems like English, and it has a basis on all of this history. that if you just know a little bit about it, then you can stand up for yourself in court. Why else would they get you to put your hand on a Bible and swear whenever you're supposed to be telling the truth? And it's a King James 1611 Bible also.
They make it out like the Bible isn't real and all this stuff, but why do they make everybody swear on the Bible? That's kind of strange.
Yeah, well, you can swear on the Bible or you can affirm. And what's really funny is George has pointed this out, that in the Bible itself it says to not swear. So when you put your hand on the Bible and swear, you're actually breaking a rule that would be in that book. So when you say my yes is yes and my no is no, or you go to a notary and you pay a certain amount of money and they say that you are who you say you are and that this is a true document, that's when you can submit it to the court as truth. However, when I write something down on a piece of paper, I know it's true. I don't need anybody else to tell me that it's true. And I wouldn't have written down whatever I wanted to write down unless I was, it all comes down to how are you operating? Are you a good person or a bad person? What's your character? That's the only value you really have in this world. You can have lots of money, but if you have no character, your business relations may or may not be affiliated with some secret societies in order to get through in this world, because I'm sure those people who are making all the dishonest means are only doing so because of their secret means.
They would say that there's no such thing as good or bad. There's just better than or worse than. That's the thing about their morality.
The Freemasonry itself ascribes, and they have said on the record as a statement, that they are not a secret society. They are a private society.
Yeah, they're not all that secret. I had a Freemason on here the other day.
That's it.
It's just it's just a separate society. That's like the same thing about the Vatican that I had Kevin Annette on here a while ago. We were just talking about this. That the reason why the priests are able to get away with so much stuff is that they're not under the same jurisdiction as we are, because they're a distinct society. So that's why they can just basically write their own rules. The Pope writes rules. He says that it's not a crime to sexually molest a child. It's a sin, but it's a crime to tell the police about it. I mean, to me, that's kind of insane, But that's what they did, and then our regular legal system just kind of.
No offense to any Catholics out there, but the Pope is most definitely the most, in my opinion, after reading the book of Revelation, he is the Antichrist, like literally.
Yeah, well, it pretty much says in the Bible that we'll have an apostate church, and it's like they're going to follow the beast and all that kind of thing. But
George and I have gone over
offense to Catholics on an individual level, of course not. They're just people. But
I want every Catholic, if you can do yourself a favor and ask yourself, why did they remove the second commandment, which is make no idols?
They removed
it and literally made number 10, thou shalt not covet, and 2, number 9, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and number 10, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions.
No, they removed one of the 10 commandments.
Well, it all comes down to the actual translations from the original Hebrew in that case.
It says you will not make a graven image of anything that's on the earth or in the air or the water, whatever.
Do not have any gods before me.
And not, yeah.
That's
and
the
not,
first.
Yeah, not have any gods before me, and not to make an image and bow down and worship it. And that's kind of what they do in Catholicism with their statues of saints and praying saints and all this kind of stuff.
Everything.
I mean, that's not bowing down and worshiping it. But anyhow,
it's about having nothing in between you and God, and because you have a contract, and if and that may or may not have been delivered to you by a one Jesus Christ, because what he did in court was stand up and say, I am that I am.
Well, he was a free man, basically. Jesus was like a
For 300 years after Jesus died, people were walking in as Christians into the Roman courts and saying, Jesus lives. And they'd say, who are you? And he'd say, Jesus lives. And they'd say, who is this man? And Jesus lives. That's all he wants to say. Throw him in the pit. And they couldn't burn enough Christians. So 325 years later, the Pharisees and Constantine got together and rewrote Christianity and created the Roman Catholic Church. And from thenceforth, then in 1611, we have the King James Bible. King James hired some bishops or whatnot to go back and retranslate the Bible in 1611. And I do believe that would have influenced the creation of the Magna Carta, which is the thing that makes us all equal, so that the king can't simply point at his guards to kill me without having some sort of evidence. Just like a police officer